This is Reframe, the podcast from the College of Education, Health, and Society on the campus of Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Not long ago, sports were sports and video games were video games, but the line between the two is blurring. The world of esports, or competitive video gaming, is quickly becoming a lucrative global phenomena. Today, popular PC and console games like Overwatch, League of Legends, Fortnite, NBA 2K, and many more are featuring superstar professional players who train in high-tech facilities to compete in regional and national events that are attracting legions of fans, mainstream media coverage, and even corporate sponsorships from companies like Nike, Mercedes-Benz, and State Farm, just to name a few. So it's clear that this space is not at all what video games were to many people just a short time ago.
I definitely think that this is the time where people are going to see that these are legitimate sources of entertainment, right? It's not just a bunch of people, for lack of a better term, the kind of classic locked in their mom's basement playing video games all day. These are people who are making money, sustaining themselves, like it's a legitimate career as a professional to compete. They're on ESPN, like League of Legends, their spring finals are this weekend, and it's going to be on ESPN too. It's going to be on the ESPN app. Last year's Overwatch League Grand Finals were on ABC. These are things that are interesting enough to a large enough group of people that you're going to start seeing it be part of mainstream entertainment.
That's Sam Ford. He's an account coordinator at a firm called GMR Marketing, where he oversees esports partnerships and promotions for Comcast. Sam has had his finger on the pulse of the esports landscape for years, ever since it became clear that video gaming as recreation and as a means of social connection are not the only ways to benefit from this activity. That's actually one of the realizations that helped him launch his career in this field after graduating from college with a degree in sport leadership and management.
I went to Miami, obviously was a SLAM major. I was looking at marketing specifically, and I was a marketing intern at Miami's athletic department. I was doing game day activations and student promotions, things like that, and always thought I wanted to work in sports. I love sports. I love getting people excited about sports. Like that's what I want to do. And I realized, I was coming home from work or my internship or whatever, and then my focus was on video games, esports. Like that's where I was then spending my time, and kind of realized that these parallels exist between both industries.
From the outside looking in, it might be easy to think that you need to become a professional player to make a career in esports. But just like in the world of traditional sports, many people dream of becoming the next LeBron James or the next Tom Brady. But of course, very few people ever make it to anywhere near that level. And that's certainly true in esports as well. But the parallels between the two industries run much deeper than that, especially for people interested in a variety of other career paths. From Sam Ford's perspective, it's not hard to see how esports is starting to mirror the way the traditional sports industry operates as a whole. And during our conversation, he got the green light to move forward with his next major project with Comcast, literally as we were speaking.
We sponsored professional teams in the past. We've partnered with leagues in the past. We have a pretty big partnership with a major esports league that should be announced. Oh, here, it's right here. So I can talk about it. We're going to be the presenting sponsor and preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League that just got announced just now. So that's something that we've been working on for the past 5 months, getting that solidified, getting our, deliverables and assets finalized with them on what that's going to look like from an in-broadcast standpoint, to the step and repeat that's behind the casters when they're shown on camera, like mentions in the broadcast, social content, things like that. All things that would happen if you were working with the NFL on a similar deal. The same thing for us. It's just a different broadcast, different game.
Right. But so instead of like the All-Star game or even just like an afternoon college football game, just instead think of all the things that go into putting on the Fortnite World Cup on Twitch or the League of Legends Championship on ESPN2.
Yeah. I mean, you think of a football organization, right? They have a GM, they have marketing, they have legal, they have PR, they have social media. Then you have team operations where you have to have coaches and scouts and things like that. That is all true in gaming as well. You look at the NFL, the New England Patriots, they play football, and that's their sport. That's what they do. In esports, one of the biggest organizations in North America is a team called Cloud9. They have a team in League of Legends. They have Overwatch. They have PUBG. They have Dota. They have like all under this one banner of Cloud9. Teams are participating in different titles, which is then different leagues, which is then different structures. And they have to keep all of that on track, even though they're all very different in what they do, but they're all under the same banner. So you have to have people who are managing that. So it's really, really interesting. Once you think about it, you think that they have to be so different, this professional gaming and then professional sports. But if you really start to think what it takes to keep that organization running, anything that you can think of from a standpoint of a professional organization and jobs would parallel in esports almost identically, I would say.
So esports are undeniably on the rise. As of last year, this multi-billion-dollar industry was already growing 18% annually. Esports are also the most popular sport among a college-age audience, which is, in turn, inspiring many universities to create esports clubs, including here at Miami. Miami was among the first universities to establish esports varsity teams, and it was recently awarded funding as part of the Boldly Creative initiative to establish the first major research-based esports curriculum in the country. But all this hype and intense interest around esports may still seem odd to many people. So what do you say to people? One of the biggest criticisms around esports, video games in general, or maybe one of the number one curious sentiments, I guess would be a better way to put it. What do you say to people who say, I don't understand why anyone would want to watch someone else play a video game?
Right. The response to why do you want to watch somebody play a video game when you can play it yourself is why are you watching somebody throw a football when you could go outside and throw it around yourself, right? It's the desire to see the best of the best compete at the highest level of competition at something that you can't do yourself. And maybe people who are, really interested in watching football, it's because, they're an NFL athlete and they want to watch other people compete, or they're a college athlete and they want to see what's happening at the professional level and want to participate at that high level and are learning. That also happens in esports. People who are, trying to climb the ranks into these top tier leagues are watching and learning from players, not only through watching sanctioned competition, but also watching individual players who are live streaming their own gameplay just for fun, to watch them practice or to watch them give, tips and tricks. And that's something that's a little bit unique compared to traditional sports, where I can't decide I'm going to watch this NFL game strictly from Tom Brady's point of view and learn and watch what he watches and see what he does, where that's something that you can do in esports and get that extra in-depth look of this is why so-and-so made this decision, because they are telling me that they made this decision because I'm watching them do it. There are things like with League of Legends where you can tune into the individual players' screens and you're watching exactly what they're watching and you're seeing exactly what they're doing, where that's just something that is not possible in traditional sports. Maybe someday that will happen, but that's kind of one of the added advantages of esports right now.
And alongside this ability to offer this extra level of immersion, esports, in some cases, are also becoming replacements for traditional sports. During the COVID-19 outbreak, while many of our usual activities were either canceled or put on hold, many esports started to fill the void. NASCAR, for example, replaced their canceled races with the inaugural eNASCAR iRacing Pro Series, featuring competitive simulations with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and other top drivers. The NBA also planned something similar with an NBA 2K video game tournament featuring professional basketball players like Kevin Durant. However, for all the rising popularity and demand, the overall landscape is still not yet as structured or as streamlined as professional sports. There's no Little League, for example, or a clear path to go from high school to college to pro. Instead, it's all still kind of like the Wild West, with this jumbled mix of assorted leagues and organizations that can vary greatly between games and between game publishers and between different third-party tournament organizers across different regions and even countries. So, How do you see this industry evolving from here? What do you think will happen or needs to happen before esports becomes truly mainstream? Before, for example, maybe once people finally stop asking that question of why would anyone ever want to watch someone play a video game?
Yeah. So I think there are a couple major milestones that I think we're due for. One is the NCAA officially getting involved and having a presence in esports. Right now, they're kind of just letting everybody do it and sit back from the shadows and observe. But once you start to see that involvement and the true buy-in from collegiate athletics, and you're starting to see that on individual schools and places like Miami, obviously. But if you can say, I'm going to get a scholarship to play Overwatch, but I'm going to study esports operations or marketing, like that's the same as I'm going to go to college and play football and get a sports administration or slam or whatever, depending on the school it is, get that degree and then be able to continue to work in the industry after I'm done as a player. Like once that becomes a thing, and we are moving closer and closer as you see more schools start to have like dedicated esports operations or broadcast or whatever programs, like that's something that's going to come and add to the legitimacy. I also think we're getting extremely close to video games in the Olympics. I think that there's some room for debate on what those games are going to be, but there are games that work great as esport titles that are perfect for the Olympics. If I were a betting person, I would say the first title that you would see in something like that would be Rocket League, which, if you are unfamiliar, is essentially soccer with cars. It's easy to watch, it's easy to understand, it's, like I said, it's soccer, and it's really competitive and is a big game.
And this isn't just you dreaming big, right? Like I've read that the International Olympic Committee is actually having these discussions about potentially including esports in the Olympics in the future, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely something that is coming. I mean, you see there's been esports competition in the Asia Games, and that was kind of seen as like the first, like, okay, this is really like picking up steam. Or you'll see it at the X Games. That's definitely like a smaller level, but there's been esports competition at the X Games for a few years now. It's all making its way towards that, higher recognition event. And the thing is, that's not uncommon across the world. The United States and North America are just behind. People have been watching professional gaming in Asian countries for years. And you think of professional athletes in North America, you see them on the commercials for Nike or Under Armour or whatever. It's the professional gamers in Korea. They're the ones who are on TV in those commercials showing off Nike products. Nike sponsors the Chinese League of Legends league. Like all of the teams in that league have Nike jerseys and apparel and things like that. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but we're just behind. And so I think a lot of it is education, and through mainstream media coverage and representation, that's how you educate right now. And I think that because of what's going on with COVID and everything, and you're seeing NBA 2K on TV, you're seeing NHL video games on TV, you're seeing the NASCAR game on TV. Like as that continues, people are going to be more and more interested. And I think even when we get to the point where the NBA is back, real basketball is back, there's still going to be people who saw 2K League or saw NBA esports and are going to still be interested in that, even though real basketball, quote unquote, has returned. Like those are the people who are then going to help spearhead the movement to keep it around and keep it as a legitimate source of entertainment.
Sam Ford oversees esports promotion and support for Comcast as an account coordinator for GMR Marketing, which is a global experiential marketing agency. He's also a graduate of Miami University's Sport Leadership and Management program. And this is the Reframe Podcast. You can subscribe and listen to many more episodes for free right now, wherever podcasts are found.